of the things that doing radio interviews requires is 100% focus. 100% focus. Anytime anything distracts me, it always takes away from the interview. So I say that so that my guest, Liza Baker, knows that I just may not be 100% today because I'm so distracted by these books that were sent to us that she's going to talk about. And I know I sound awfully juvenile when I tell you that this pop-up book is outstanding. I just keep wanting pulling on these tabs.
I know.
It's funny. I am distracted by this. Liza Baker is the Vice President and Executive Editorial Director of Scholastic Books. She's on the phone to talk to us about some of the books they have, and they sent us three samples of them, and they are called If You're a Robot and You Know It, and it is a pop-up book, and it is fun to pull the tabs. There's another one called Friend Shape, and then there's a third one called Where's Walrus and Penguin, which is completely a picture book. I don't believe there's any words in that book at all, right? Mm-hmm. Good morning, Liza Baker with Scholastic. Scholastic has always been one of those companies that puts out quality publications for children. Good morning, Liza.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
And it sounds like there's a delay between when you say something and I hear you. So in advance, I'm going to apologize because it might sound like we're talking over you, and we don't intend to.
Okay. I'm just so happy to be here at
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Scholastic. We have a really exciting campaign coming. It's called Story Starts Here. It's shining the light on our illustrated books, and I'm delighted that you have 3 of our favorite books with you there.
Yeah, but as I mentioned in the intro, they are distracting me. So that accompanied with the delay between when we say things and hear each other it's really going to make this a really fun interview.
Well, at least you're enjoying yourselves, and I'm so happy. If You're a Robot and You Know It is one of our most favorite books on the list. It's a pop-up book from David Carter, and of course it's based on the song If You're Happy and You Know It.
It is a fun book for anybody listening. Let me tell you, how much is this one? Can I ask price or no? I shouldn't do that, should I? Because it'd be different all over the country?
It's $16.99.
Oh, okay.
It's $16.99. You can find it all over the country. And David Carter is a paper engineer, and he joined forces with a musical band from out west called Musical Robot. So there's actually a downloadable song that comes with the book.
Is that right?
And there's dynamic. Yes, it's fantastic. It's multifaceted, and as you see, there are cool pop-ups on every single page, and these are really laugh out loud moments for kids to read. I have 3 little ones at home, and this is one of their absolute favorite books.
Let me guess. One of their favorite pages is the laser beam eyes. Right? Am I right?
I love that you said that because you nailed it. Absolutely. That's the point when they broke out giggles.
The one thing I always talk about whenever we speak to anybody with a book for children is this story. When my son was little, he's 29 now, I used to lie in bed with him reading children's books, and now he's very accomplished. He was an avid when he got to be older, like 8 and 9, and he was reading on his own. Of course, we didn't still do it at that point, but he was reading what was the book he was reading? Goosebumps. He was reading Goosebumps books back at that point in his life, and I had a half-hour drive from where we lived to where he went to school. So in the time it took to drive to school and home, in other words, 1 hour, he could read a whole book. He was so good. And I always attribute that to the fact that when he was little, we were looking at these kinds of books.
Well, I think you've definitely, hit the nail on the head. We're all about introducing kids to books really from the very beginning. And that starts on the day a child's born, throughout their lives. It's so important to read every day to kids, to ignite that early love of reading, and that's really what our Story Starts Here campaign is all about. And even the American Academy of Pediatrics have said, really, you've got to start on day 1 and set your kids on that path of loving reading. It's how you raise readers, and at Scholastic, we're all about raising readers.
And in today's world, with the internet, some people might say, no, you don't really need to read anymore. I don't really know who would say that, but I'm just going to use devil's advocate position for this. But the truth is, almost everything, like texting, and how many people do you know that text have horrendous spelling? You know, so
Yes.
this is a good.
I know. It's founded on horrendous spelling, isn't it?
Right. I think it is. But I guess my point is that knowing how to read, knowing how to write, and knowing how to spell correctly all starts when you're very young.
It does. And, we've done studies here. We have a great study here called the Kids and Family Reading Report. And kids have said they love being read aloud to. And that's so important for little ones. As I said, starting from birth on, they love the sound of mom and dad's voice. They love the sound of a caregiver's voice reading those lyrical words out loud to them, cozying up with them. It's really special family time, but really that extends well into kids older, at older ages. Kids even, 10, 11, 12, 13 and beyond love to be read aloud to. They say that's special family time. That's the most precious memories they have of their early years. It's together family time. And, one of the books we're excited to talk about today is the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone Illustrated Edition with illustrations by Jim Kay. It's a great book to give to a family if you've got kids at different ages, but the whole family can enjoy this story being read aloud and these lavish illustrations. It's just a real spectacular gift book.
Oh, really?
And you always you're saying that the children like magical things, but you also say go for the funny because the children love to laugh.
Kids, actually that's the default for me, and that I always recommend to friends asking. Funny is great. Funny is number one. Kids love to giggle. We have plenty of really funny books, especially our picture books. You mentioned Where's Walrus and Penguin. This is a totally wordless book, but the story is so rich, the visual narrative. Kids can jump in and tell the story as they seek and find Walrus and Penguin on every page as the zookeeper is on the chase throughout the city. This is such a great reading experience, and a story you can retell in so many different ways as kids kind of point out each funny picture on each page. It's really, really laugh out loud.
Do you know, as many times as we've talked about children's books, there's one thing I never pointed out, and it just occurred to me right now, so I'm guessing this is probably true for a lot of children. Because in your notes it says you have a book called I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Dreidel, so I want to ask about that. But we had the book called I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Fly. And the person who gave that to my son when he was little is the lady sitting with me, Robin. So what I want to point out is I remember when he was little, because my son called Robin Aunt Robin. So I can remember him saying, "Can we read the book from Aunt Robin? Can we read the book from Uncle Billy?" He remembered who gave us the books. So that's a cool thing I never thought about that before, but that's a great incentive to make a book a gift. Right, the child is never going to forget. Oh, let me read the book from
Uncle Larry,
Aunt Liza. Yes.
Yeah, my kids too. Books from Uncle Larry.
Right.
It's so true. It becomes a timepiece, and it's an opportunity to sign it to a child and date it, and they will never forget that. That's part of their heritage. It's such a gift. It's such a special gift, and it really does bring a family together.
Liza, can you hang on just a second? We've got to go, not a second, but let's see. It looks like it's about a 2.5 minute break. We've got the weather, and you know how that goes,
Sure
right?
Thing.
Okay. Liza Baker is on the phone.
Yeah.
She's from Scholastic Books. They've got some delightful books to talk about, including the illustrated Harry Potter books, some pop-up books, and other great books for children. We'll continue this conversation when we come back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, this Monday, very warm with clouds and sunshine and a high of 82 to 86. Partly cloudy and mild Monday night, low 64 to 68. For Tuesday, becoming mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, high 78 to 82. Wednesday, clouds, breaks of sun, and still warm, high 79 to 83. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Concerned with increasing theft of packages left at residential locations? Primarily scumbags taking quality merchandise from honest, hardworking people. Obviously, most folks don't want to rent a private mailbox, but they do want options. After contemplating the ratifications, Personal Service Center at 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue will have a new service, simply called Package Receiving. For a small fee, Personal Service Center will receive packages on behalf of local residents. The postmaster has approved the service. Questions call 789-6683. Personal Service Center, 789-6683.
Are you in need of custom screen printing, embroidery, or promotional items? Then look no further and come visit the brand new Legacy Team Sales. LTS is conveniently located off 17th Street next to Armstrong Homes in beautiful Ocala. We offer the best prices and highest quality products for your company, team, school, or nonprofit. Whether looking for screen printed shirts, embroidered polos, or travel team uniforms, you'll be sure to find it at Legacy Team Sales. Come visit our new 27,000 square foot facility. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales staff will assist you in every part of your custom purchase. LTS carries the hottest brands in the industry like Under Armour, Russell, Mizuno, Asics, Badger Sports, Gildan, Pacific, Ogio, and many more. At LTS, screen printing embroidery is done in-house and we guarantee customer satisfaction. Stop by, give us a call, or check us out on the web at shoplts.com. Remember the name, LTS.
We're saving thousands with Robert Palmer.
So rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around. If you're trying to get a mortgage, if you're trying to get the best credit card, if you're looking at student loans, cell phone bills, you name it, rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around.
That's rule number one, just one more vital part of fighting back to stop being a financial zombie. Yes, you can take the mystery out of the complicated world of finances. Take charge when it comes to your money. Listen in on The Source, 96.3 FM and 1370 AM, Saturdays at 12:05.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
We are The Source, WOCA.
All right, 11 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking about books for children, and Liza Baker is on the phone, and she would know a little bit about this because she is the vice president and executive editorial director of Scholastic Books. We've learned about a few that you might want to consider as gifts this time of year or any time of the year. Liza, in my notes to prepare for this interview with you, the headline says, and this is prepared by your publicist, how do I get my kid excited about reading? I think that is the easiest question to answer. That is the easiest question, isn't it?
You know, most kids are drawn to reading just very organically. I think they're excited by the bold illustrations and the whole idea of holding a book in their own hands and just the whole experience. But some kids may be too busy to kind of sit still and really engage with a book. So it's really important that you give them a choice. Let them choose the book on the bookshelf. Let them go to the library and pick that book that's calling their name. And if they like truck books, get them a truck book. If they like animal books, there's plenty of wonderful animal books. I think letting kids choose is so key.
And one of the other reasons that a child should be encouraged to read is that sometimes they are dyslexic, and sometimes they try to fool people by memorizing things. But if the child sits down and starts to read and then gets frustrated, there might be a deeper problem. The parent should notice, and then they can fix it, and then the child will like to read.
You're so right. That early intervention, I think, is key.
That's a good point.
The picture book experience, that's why that's so key to really, it's reading together. So you're pointing out the words as you read along. They're chiming in, and as you say, in some cases memorizing, but in some cases they're starting to really identify the words and the letters, and it's really the foundational building block to a child learning to read independently. But you're right, you can identify some of those issues early on and address those at the outset. But kids do love reading throughout childhood. So it's an interesting thing. We've done extensive studies here at Scholastic, and it's not just the early on younger kids that like to be read aloud to. Even older children love the sound of mom and dad's voice. being read to aloud, even when they can read on their own.
And my son is 38, and he lives in New Jersey and works in Manhattan. He takes the train every day, and he will either take a book and physically read it himself, or he'll have an audiobook, and he loves to read.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Audiobooks are a great option for young kids, for older kids. It's a really dynamic way to engage with a book and to hear it read aloud. And obviously your son has that same sort of, we all love to be read aloud too.
Yeah. Do you know what I always liked to do when my son was little? It was combining the book with something in real life. For example, now Marjorie Kinnan Rowling's books are obviously not children's books, but, well, you might say...
The Yearling
you might
for
say the
young
Yearling.
readers.
Yeah. But she lived around here. Where are you calling from, by the way?
I'm calling from New York.
New York,
City,
okay.
from Soho.
So Marjorie Kinnan Rowling moved from New York. This is way before my time. And she lived not too far from where we're broadcasting. So her house is now a museum. And so I remember with my son, we went to watch the movie of Marjorie Kinnan Rowling. Then we went to her house. And like in this book, Where's Walrus? What I could picture, like if I had a little one right now, you could read Where's Walrus and Penguin, and then go down to Busch Gardens and find the walrus and the penguin, because they're in. We have in
Right.
Busch Gardens, not too
or
far from here.
SeaWorld,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, SeaWorld. Yeah.
Exactly.
That would kind of be fun, I think.
The zoos.
That's so true. And it like comes to life. The story comes to life in a really dynamic way. I think that's a really good point. And, we have another book that's called Let's Go to the Firehouse. And it's an introduction to the Firehouse. It includes photographs of real firemen and women and real firehouses and even Dalmatian dogs. There's interactive touch and feels on every page. And it comes with a CD so that kids can get a taste of animation of being inside a real firehouse. And so, again, when you're walking by a real firehouse, it's fun to engage with it after you've learned about it in a book.
Oh my goodness!
And this helps with the child's love to formulate their careers. I mean, my daughter works with a veterinarian now. She works with horses, and that's she was insatiable. She read a lot of books about horses, a lot of books about animals, and she's doing that now.
That's great. Again, those interests early on and allowing a child to, if they love horses, then get them as many books about horses as you can find, because really you see their eyes light up, and it really is setting them on a path and instilling that just passion for reading that we really want to start early with.
Liza Baker is our guest. Liza, we have a phone line open, and we have a caller on the line. Good morning. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air with Liza Baker.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I remember in the fourth grade, we had our first taste of Scholastic books, and I still remember the first Scholastic book that I bought. It was the story of Harry Houdini, and I still remember it to this day.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, have a good morning, all.
I love that.
Thank you. And that's kind of part of this whole interview as well, is the name Scholastic goes back to all of our childhoods.
It does. We've been around for 90 years, and we are all about kids and reading. It's such an amazing place to work because the devotion to children's books in an exclusive way. We're all about kids and literacy, and really that comes through in everything we do. And I mentioned earlier on, we have this exciting campaign, The Story Starts Here, and it's really shining the light on books for the 0 to 7-year-old child. And I'd encourage folks to check out scholastic.com/Story Starts Here, all kinds of reading tips online and information about our books. And it's a great gift guide because we really want people to think books during this gift-giving season. It's so important.
I would imagine 90 years ago, since that was before TV, that when TV came around, the people in the publishing world must have said, gosh, I hope this doesn't hurt our sales of books. And it has not. I mean, you might have been fearful of that at that time, but now enough time has passed that we know that. And in fact, even the ebook, I mean, I'm sure the ebook has taken away from adults. I'm guessing most children's books still come out as actual tangible books. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. We do publish simultaneously in digital format, but mostly that's for kids who have found a book, a real, sort of paper book that they've loved, and say you're at the grocery store and your child says, "Oh, I really want to read The Princess and the Pony by Kate Beaton, while we're here waiting to check out." They can experience the book that they already know and love, but really digital books have not replaced our paper books. The book market is thriving. Kids still love to read books in print. They feel a sense of accomplishment. They love that tactile, shared reading experience. And books are meant to be shared. The very nature of their design is meant to sort of plop on someone's lap and read together.
And you never know. You might have a budding author or a budding screenplay writer, with the child, and since they would love to read, their imagination is going to flourish, and then you could be responsible for them being writers themselves.
You're absolutely right. I mean, really, it's introducing kids to poetic language and exposure to beautiful art and illustration that's at a very sophisticated level, but always kid accessible. But really, the art form of books, especially picture books, is really magnificent. And watching books come to life, which is what I do as an editor, helping bring them to life, it just brings me such joy. There's so much remarkable talent out in the world.
So can we go to Scholastic.com and get ideas? And I have an idea for Scholastic.com. I don't know if you guys have ever thought of this, or maybe it's not doable. But have a registry like women do for their brides registry, like children's book.
Oh, how cool.
A children's book registry where the children say, what book I would really love to have? And they kind of put, and then,
what a great
and
idea.
Then Uncle Larry can say, oh, look, I don't have to ask. It's right there.
That's right. I love that.
That is a super idea. It's like a list for Santa that lasts all year, a go-to to sort of for kids to record.
Yeah.
Their books, their book wish list. I love that idea.
Well, just make sure you put Larry gave us that idea. Just do that. Liza, thank you so much for being. Liza, thank you for being on the air with us today. I love children's books, and I mean, it means it's more than the book. It's about the relationship, I think, because children's books really do put an adult and a child together in a way that nothing else really does.
You nailed it, Larry. That brings us all together. And just remember, books this season come shopping time.
Excellent. I buy books every year.
Liza, thank you for being on the air. Thank you for what you do. Your company is awesome. I just love Scholastic. Go to Scholastic.com. I guess that's where we'll leave it. Liza, thank you.
Thank you. I love talking to people who love books.
That was
Thank
fun.
you.
All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. President Obama meeting with his national security team at the Pentagon about ISIS. He'll deliver a statement later.
The president is likely to further explain his plan to defeat ISIS. Despite the president's reassurances, Republicans say he has failed to grasp the severity of the risk. A recent AP poll found that 7 in 10 Americans rated the risk of a terrorist attack in the U.S. as at least somewhat high.
Fox News Radio's John Decker. Flood warnings for much of the central U.S.
There has been a pretty broad area of heavy rain that has spread out from the southern plains eastward now into the Mississippi Valley, and the precipitation amounts have been anywhere from 1 to 3 inches.
Bob Orebeck of the National Weather Service, a University of New Hampshire chemist, says he's developed a coffee that provides the same heart benefits as red wine. Glenn Miller says he infuses coffee beans with an antioxidant